Yes, welcome. My name is Gabriel Kennedy Peter Mbane. Study computer science from the University of Benin. And I'm a semi-com member here in Ekiti State at Ekiti. I'm serving with ABC Capital Limited. That's my PBA. And of course, a bit introduction of myself. I'm a full stack web application developer. I both front-end and back-end application development. I've done both simple, complex, and dynamic web solution. And so I shall be taking you web design in this course. There are a couple of things that I have a lot to probably cover on this course as time goes on. Just stay with me. So I shall be taking you HTML as components of web design, right? And have a list of things, of course, basic HTML, page structure, text element, list, other link, links and anchors, image and path, and many others that I cannot put on the slide so that the slide will not be so choked up or something. So this is just maybe like one third of what we take to cover on this HTML course. Apart from HTML, another technology we'll also be looking at in the course of this course is CSS technology, right? You see that I refer to them as technology. So some people call them programming languages, but in the modern day, we don't refer to them as programming languages as they were. We refer to them as technologies. You have the HTML technologies, you have the cascading style sheet technology, what you refer to is the CSS. And of course, apart from this CSS, we're also be looking at Bootstrap, where Bootstrap is a framework for HTML and CSS combined together. It makes it easier for developers or for web designers to come up with very robust, interesting, amazing, fantastic, and responsive web interface, right? For example, a solutions that appear to be very beautiful on a system may appear not so beautiful on a tablet, right? And on your phone, it may be so ugly or something else. But with the use of Bootstrap framework or Bootstrap library, it makes it so convenient. Whichever medium you are using to build it comes out very, very beautiful and amazing. So we shall be looking at Bootstrap because of this discussion. Of course, there are a number of things we'll look at that I did not put on the slide right now so that we could just have maybe a better visual display. And so we also look at JavaScript. You see, we've talked about HTML, we look at HTML, we look at Cascade Style Sheet, we look at Bootstrap. Now the fourth one we're going to look at JavaScript, right? There are a couple of things you will look at in JavaScript because each of them plays a very vital significant role in web development or website design. Right? If you know HTML, you don't know CSS, are you good to go? No, you're not good to go. If you know HTML, you know CSS, but you don't know Bootstrap, are you good to go? No, you're not good to go. If you now know HTML, you know CSS, you know Bootstrap, are you then good to go? My answer remains no, you're still not good to go until you have HTML checked, CSS checked, Bootstrap library checked, and JavaScript checked. Then you can beat your chest and say, yeah, flow flex website designer. So, and of course, in each of these technologies we'll be looking at, we'll be taking, small projects or probably, tests as project and all that. And at the end of the year, at the end of the course, we'll, get a project to execute or in form of exhibition or something. So, let's get started. Again, I welcome you to the world of programming. For some of you who just be seeing it for the first time, some of you have never seen what coding looks like before, some of you have never seen coding. I'm also very much aware that some of you have probably done one or two things that relate to computing or to programming in your university or your polytechnic days and all that. But here we'll be doing more on practical and hands-on. Of course, you can see from the left-hand side of your screen, that is what coding environment looks like, and that's what we are going to be doing basically in this course or in this tutorial. Just stay with me. I bet you will learn a lot of things and you will be happy with yourself that you pay the sacrifice you're about to do. So let's begin. Let's get started. Our conversation line or discourse line today is we shall be talking about introduction to web design, right? We look at what is web design versus what is web development because it has been a conflict in ideas. People has been, in chaos. People has been confused about what is web development or what is web design. Aren't they the same thing? I mean, does it make any difference saying web design has a different entirely meaning from development? So We will look at it, we will examine both content and know what it is, right? Front end versus back end, is it any different? What difference does it make, right? And of course, look at an overview of how the web works. How does the web works? In that context, we'll be looking at a browser, what a browser is, what hosting is, of course, with the domain environment of the domain, and of course, look at tools for this course that we need, right? For this trade we're about to learn, what are the tools we need, right? We will need maybe a VS Code, a Sublime Text, a Notepad, an Atom, a Microsoft Visual Studio Code, or a GitHub, or a browser, whatever it is we need, we state it very explicitly as we progress in this tutorial. And of course, we look at the HTML structure, which will take very shortly. So this is what we hope to cover into this class or into this lesson. So let's get started. I hope I have not bored you with plenty of talk. And let's get started with the nitty-gritty. What is web design? I've put a very simple definition here for what web design is, right? Web design is a process of creating the visual layout and user experience of a website. It is a very simple definition, and what it means is this. When you come to a website, everything you see is a function of the layout, it's a function of how it was arranged, right? Just like you look at a typical building, a building is a collection of several blocks, right? Well arranged blocks, well structured blocks, well, laid blocks. Probably you have seen maybe an architect or whoever that it is that in charge of constructing a building. You have seen how careful they are in the arrangement of blocks, in their is it probably they call it varieties that it is called, right? We have our own similar, we have our own terms that we use here. So when you visit a website for the first time, the first thing you see, probably you see the colors, you see the text, you see welcome to my website, you see the pictures, and you see a couple of other things, right? That's the function of the layout, right? How you feel when you see the website is your experience. If you say, wow, this is nice, this is nice, this is good, that's a good experience. And you're a user, so it becomes a good user experience. That's what you have UI and UX. UI is user experience, right? UI is user interface. When you come, as you're looking at your screen, we refer to it as interface. The screen will interface you in return, right? Just like I'm staring at my screen right now. I'm looking at my screen right now. So the screen is facing me, is interfacing me. So we refer to it as user interface. What faces the user? What interface? What mediates between the user and the machine? We refer to it as user interface. Right? The experience a user got in interfacing with your system is called user experience. And so when you come to a website, you see the beauty, you see the layout, you see the colors and all that, and then the experience you got is referred to as a user experience. So you see that the definition is very, very explicit and simple. Web design is a process of creating the visual layout and user experience of a website, period. Is it everybody that you see with a machine or a system? Pardon me, by the way, if you hear me talk about machine or a system, I'm referring to the center, or a physical boss, right? We are not getting more professional. This is not the school we went to. We are just born with a lot of theories and all that. At this point, we have to take things in a more professional manner. So, several occasions refers to the computer system as either a physical boss, a virtual boss, or a machine, whichever of them, right? So it focuses on how a website looks, right? You see, my looks is underlined. How a website looks, how it feels, and how users interact with it. So the components, the technology we have highlighted, right, is the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, and the Bootstrap. Each of them plays a serious function, a serious role in ensuring how a site looks, how the user feels, and how they interact with it. For example, when you come to a website, maybe when you hover over a button, maybe you drag your mouse over your mouse over a button. Maybe it changes from green to blue, right? Or maybe when you submit, say, oh wow, welcome Angela for visiting our website or something. That's an interaction. So there are things responsible for all of these things. So this is basically what web design is. So the process of creating visual layout and user experience of a website is referred to as web design. I hope that's clear and everybody understands what I'm trying to picture to you. Right, so let's move on. So next thing we'll talk about is web design versus web development. So what's the difference? Right, I also use this situation to explain front end versus back end. By the way, I'm fortunate to study computer science from University of Benin. So we were able to imagine or understand that basically, I mean, like generally is two types, right? We have the physical and the spiritual, right? So here, computer is very into two generally. Physical is what you can see, uh, spiritual is what you can't see. So in the computer, the part of the computer is very into two basically. The part you can see, the part of the computer system you can see, we refer to it as hardware. Right? That might has to do with your keyboard, your mouse, your monitor, your hard disk, your peripherals, and whatever it is you can touch and feel. Refer to them as a physical component or the hardware component of the system. Right? Why is the other part of the system that you cannot see? Just like you have the human body, right? You have the hand, you have the head, you have the legs, you have the other part of the body, and then it is not the hand that is just moving by itself. Something inside is what is driving the energy, to ensure that you can move your hand and all that. So the system on its own, the keyboard is not what is responsible for dragging and all that. There's a software inside. There's an invisible component that you don't see, that you can't touch, you can't feel. We refer to that invisible component of the system as the software component, the invisible part. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't feel it. As against what you can see and touch when it is hardware. Of course, we have seen the hard disk before. If you have, you can touch it, right? You have seen your physical computer before. You can touch the keyboard, you can type keys, but you can't touch a software like that. You can't touch it. You can't. I mean, you can't. It's just invisible. So, on the software, we are not going into hardware. Remember, we said it's divided into two. We have the hardware, the part you can see, right? We have the software, the part you can't see. So we are concentrating on the software, the part you can't see, the part you can't touch, the part you can't feel with your senses or organs or all that. So inside the software alone is also very wide, it's also very elaborate that one person cannot just, spread across a web development and say this is what I'm doing and all that with software development. So there are different types of software, right? You have the system software, software that talks to your computer system directly. Example, like the operating system. Do you know anybody that design operating system? No. Most times there are software that comes with the machine. When you buy your computer system, some software came along with it. We refer to them as system application. System software. We refer to them as what? System software. They are software that help to control your physical box. Right? If you press 5, what makes it appear on the screen is the system software. You want to create a folder. Why do you think the folder is creating? It's one of the system software inside. Without the system software, there is no system. Right? Imagine your system without an operating system. What are you going to do? Because it's the operating system that coordinates all the activities going on in the computer system. How does the system know that you have plugged a mouse? How does the system know that you have connected the internet? How does the system know that you have connected the keyboard? It is your operating system or the system software that dictates all these things and coordinates all the activities of the system. So that's why most times you see that the hard disk is weak and it's able to load the OS, the system will not come on. You always have a blue screen. That's just by the way. And so there's another type of software we refer to as application software. These are tailored software. These are software. They did not come with the solution. They did not come with the system. But the user realized that I will need a software to register my students. I will need a software to always tell me, welcome, it is time to brush. I need a software that will always tell me, okay, you can print your results. I need a software that can handle my inventory, my e-commerce, my activities, my business, and all that. A tailored addressing a specific issue. We refer to them as application or tailored software, right? Remember, we said first one system software, second application or tailored software, right? Then the last one is utility software, applications like your calculator, your calendar. These are just you don't need them in your everyday activities. They are just utilities. They are just very they're just addictive. So basically, we'll narrow them down to system software and application software. We are not concerned about system software. We are concerned about application software, tailored software. Now, inside application software is also very humongous that one person cannot do everything, right? So we have you ever imagined if you transfer your WhatsApp on your phone to a system, will it work? No, it will not work because it is not the same architecture, right? The system, the physical bus architecture is different from your system, your phone architecture. So it's not going to work, right? So the WhatsApp community or developers, we have to hire developers who will build another WhatsApp for the Windows or for the PC if they also want it to exist in that medium. All right, so very quickly, I am saying in all share that systems or solutions or software that runs on phone might not run on the system, right? And I'm also saying that to run on the system does not mean to run on the phone. So it therefore means that we have a desktop application. Now we're talking about application software, well, desktop application software, application that only run on the system, on the PC, on the physical machine, on the physical box. Refer to them as a desktop application. A good example is your office suite. Your office suite, if you can you install your Windows Office suite on your phone? I'm sure the answer is no, you can't do that. So if Microsoft wants you to have access to Microsoft Word, they have to create another Microsoft Word for you. So that's why we have this software called Word that you can install on your phone, not as a suite, take notes, but as a product, like as an application. So can you install your CorelDRAW on your phone? No, you can't install CorelDRAW on your phone. So CorelDRAW can only be installed on the physical bus, on the machine, running having either a Mac or Windows. So those softwares or solutions we refer to them as desktop applications or desktop softwares, right? Now, we now have what we call mobile applications. Those ones you can download and have them on your phone, like your WhatsApp, like your Facebook, like your Instagram, your TikTok, and etc. etc. These ones we refer to them as mobile application development. Mobile. So now we have desktop for systems or for PCs, and then or workstation if you like, and then we have mobile application for phones, isn't it? Now there should exist a common ground where both the PC or workstation and the phone can access. That ground is referred to as a web application. I'm not saying website, take notes. I'm saying web solutions or web applications. Whether you are coming with phone or you're coming with system or you're coming with anything or tablet, or you can have access to it. So basically, software is very into three. We have the system software, we have we have the other application software, we have the desktop applications, we have the mobile applications, and the web application. Now, let's go of two of them and focus on web application because we're talking about web design, right? Now, in website or in web design, the part you can see is called a website. You get that? The part you can see. So when you come to NYC portal, those parts you can see, that's the design. But what enables the design to work is the development. But you can't see the blood in me, but you know I have blood, and that's why I'm able to move my hand. It is about the blood in me. So um, when you say when the portal say put your email and password, when you put it, that is the website you are typing them. What enables it to load and bring your name and say, hello Gabriel, welcome. Hello Copper Gabriel, welcome. Please kindly proceed for your clearance on so day like you always see. It is not the site is doing that. A site is just a collection of basic components. You see your CSS, you see your colors, you see your pictures and all that, etc., etc. They can't do anything basically. It is the development that enables it that you click a button and something happens. It is development. So the difference is that design is front end, development is back end. So like we have here on this slide you are looking at right now. So we say web design focuses on the appearance and layout of a website using tools like HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, etc., etc. Web development deals with the functionalities, the logic behind the website using programming language like Java. Oh, sorry, I meant to say Java, not JavaScript at this time. Java and PHP. Right. Please, Java, not JavaScript, please. JavaScript is different from Java. Well, JavaScript is a front end technology. Java is a back end technology, so they are not the same thing. Please, Java is back end, JavaScript is front end. Right, so that is what they mean. Web design is front end, whether that HTML cannot get it back. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Bootstrap is at the front. Why back end? PHP, your Laravel, your Node.js, your C Sharp, your C++, your Python, your whatever it is you have it is back end programming language. And so examples of web design technologies include HTML, CSS. Now you have JavaScript currently. So, however, Facebook has advanced because JavaScript is very, very fast. It's very, very fast. As soon as you click, you see it as soon as you click it. So, because of that, Facebook decided to enhance the functionality of JavaScript. So, they created a framework for JavaScript called React. So React is a JavaScript framework. So we refer to it as a JavaScript, but it is a framework, right? A front-end framework. So for design, right? And of course, examples of backend technologies include the hypertext preprocessor PHP, Node.js. Now you have Java. So Java is backend and it's a very serious programming language for enterprise solutions creation. And of course, we have the C Sharp, the Python, and in this. So I hope you understand the concept or the differences between web design, web development, and of course, what's the other way? Front end and back end web developer. So, but however, somebody should be good enough to do both front end and back end. If you have Angela good enough to handle both front end and back end development, so it means that Angela will learn backend front-end technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Bootstrap. She will learn them. She will go further to learn. The beauty of backend is that only one programming language is needed. Like in front-end, we say that if you know HTML and you don't know the rest, it's as good as not knowing it. You must know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, and before you can be able to go. But in backend, only one programming language is required. If you know PHP, if you know PHP, then you don't know Node.js. If you know Node.js, then you know Java. If you know Java, just one is enough. And you pick the database of your choice. So let's move on very quickly. How does the web works? Before you can access any information or resources on the web, you will need a web browser. So web browser is an agent used to access resources online or over the web. For example, how did you do your when the LGI says, please kindly check if your cleaner has reflect, otherwise reported pavilion tomorrow. Where do you check? Where do you go? You go to a browser to check, right? So a browser is used to access information over the web. I'm sorry to say there's no how you can access information on the web without the browser. So you need a browser certainly. You need a browser. So in that case, a good example of a browser is Chrome. You can call it Google Chrome because it's owned by Google. We have Mozilla Firefox, right? And of course, we have Safari, we have Edge, we have Brave, we have a number of them. We have Explorer, we have Opera Mini, so we have many of them. And then, of course, we have a domain name. We have what's called domain name. A domain name is the IP address that uniquely identifies where the website is hosted, where your website is sitting, where your website is saved. For example, if you have seen a system before, you know that And if you have a picture on my pictures, maybe there's a folder on your desktop that you named my pictures or my photos, whatever it is that you called it, and you have your Christmas pictures there. That particular one beautiful picture of yours has an address and can use to locate that picture. So where your site can be located through is referred to as a domain name, and it's always bought. Though there are times you see free domain hosting and all that, and free domain names, but they are subdomains. I mean, you get to understand that concept as time goes on. We should continue in this course. And of course, the next thing we'll talk about is hosting. Hosting is a very simple concept. It's a very simple concept. What it means is that I have a file, I have a website, but I want glory to see it in Lagos. And of course, you can't see it from my local house. So you now go and meet people that offers that service. There are people that can say, look, me, I have all it takes. My computer is always 24 online. It's always charged, it's always having internet, and it can always be online. So you can bring your file, I will keep them for you, I will expose them, and then you pay a token of amount for a particular amount. But I'm sorry, just to like in our area, I'm in Nigeria by the way, so light is gone. I hope very soon I change the button and I want to come up again. But just bear with me. I think I'm almost done with this. I'm almost done with the introduction. So, and of course, we have a programming language, as I've said, can be HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or the programming language which we are choosing for this web design. So basically, we'll be looking at HTML, we'll be looking at CSS, we'll be looking at JavaScript, and we'll be looking at Bootstrap. And then we'll take a project for our final practice. So that is basically how the internet works. So what makes up the website? Of course, we're talking about the HTML, talking about the styles. Of course, it can be CSS or it can be Bootstrap, right? Bootstrap is a combination of HTML and CSS as a framework. And of course, JavaScript. These are the basic. So any website you are seeing is made up of these three items: the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript. So basically, that's that. And what are the things you will need, or we will need, as far as this course is concerned? What are the things we will need to probably effectively take this course from the beginning to the completion? You will need a browser, either a Chrome or a Mozilla Firefox or a Brave or an Edge or a Chimera or an Explorer, any one of your choice. Do I need to download all of them? No, only just one is enough. And of course, you need an IDE, integrated development environment, or what you refer to as a code editor, e.g., your VS Code, your Sublime Text, your Atom, your Visual Studio Code, your Microsoft Visual Studio Code, and your notepad, whatever it is, just one is enough. So these are the things you need as far as this course is concerned. It's not going to take so much from you. And then the next question you will probably want to ask is that, can I do it with my phone? Yeah, you can do it with your phone, but it might be more stressful, so I don't recommend phone. However, if that is what you have, it is fine. You can move ahead the course.